Russo's death in Season 2 of Reacher devastated me, but the show's final arc in Season 3 has an even more heartbreaking scene. Reacher apparently played it safe in its first season by avoiding any significant character fatalities. Joe, Jack Reacher's brother, is the sole hero to die in Season 1, and a brief flashback reveals his fate. However, the detective series on Amazon Prime Video does not hold back from murdering off a significant character after the first season. Reacher Season 2 introduces Russo as one of the supporting heroes and then shows his last moments, emphasizing how he risks his life to protect an innocent mother and her daughter from the bad guys. Since Russo progressively wins the viewer over as a character, and the show even demonstrates how much he cares about upholding the common good rather than becoming into a dishonest police detective, his death turns out to be incredibly tragic. But even if Russo's death seems tragic, Reacher Season 3 has an even more heartbreaking moment. The storylines of Beck and Russo in Reacher are comparable in many respects. The show finally exposes that both individuals are being misinterpreted due to their situations, despite their original assumption of being villains. Russo had always been a morally upright police officer, but he had no idea how a senior officer in the department was accepting bribes from the main antagonists, as the second half of Reacher Season 2 shows. Russo even shown his dedication and honesty toward the end of the season by risking his life to defend defenseless bystanders. Zachary Beck, in contrast to Russo, was first shown as a stereotypical villain involved in an illicit gun-running enterprise. But as the season progressed, it became clear that Beck was also a victim of his situation, as Quinn was using threats against his son to coerce him into working for him. Even though Beck lacks Russo's moral character, the show does a decent job of rehabilitating him by the end of Season 3 by demonstrating his willingness to work with Reacher to protect his son. There is also a touching scene at the end of Reacher Season 3 where Beck expresses his gratitude to his son Richard. This reveals the character's frail side and emphasizes how far from being as vicious as Quinn and Paulie he is. Beck's path feels significantly more tragic than previously anticipated because he is able to totally redeem himself towards the end of Reacher Season 3, making his death nearly as devastating as Russo's. At first, Russo and Reacher's relationship in Season 3 provided comic relief. The arguments between the two characters even reminded me in many ways of the arguments between Reacher and Finley in Season 1. The show even gives viewers hope that Reacher and Russo can collaborate in the future, as they did in Season 2 to solve a criminal conspiracy, by depicting their relationship as a buddy cop-like one. All of these possible plot points, meanwhile, ultimately prove to be literary gimmicks meant to make viewers cry when Russo passes away. In keeping with this pattern, Reacher Season 3 gives viewers optimism that Zachary Beck and his kid will have the happy ending they deserve. Reacher Season 3 traces the sequence of events that culminate in Beck's valiant demise, just when it appears that he is at last on the correct track toward atoning for his previous transgressions. This continues the series' pattern of eliminating likable supporting characters, as Beck, like Russo, dies a brutal death. The day Zachary Beck made the morally dubious decision to launch an illegal gun-running business, he endangered his son's life. He simply did not anticipate that he would eventually run against Quinn, a bigger player, who threatened to ruin everything he held dear. Reacher Season 3's tragic plot revolves around Beck having to deal with the terrible fallout from his own deeds. He becomes a victim of Quinn's compulsion and manipulation since he joined a criminal organization that employs a number of dangerous people. Beck receives the atonement he merits for acting morally at the end and putting his son's safety above Quinn's demands in Reacher Season 3. But the show also expertly strikes a balance with his sacrifice to illustrate that redemption has a heavy price for someone like Beck. Beck would have been sentenced to life in jail even if he had managed to survive until the very end, which would have served as yet another sobering reminder of his inability to move past his previous decisions even after making an effort to change his ways during the conclusion of Reacher Season 3. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more videos.